Thank you very much for tuning in and welcome to Jamie TV. Today we will not be piss-panting about. We will be taking a look at Lunar Lander. It is a tube saturator. It gives you 3-plate reverbs and it gives you a bucket brigade analog delay. It came out quite recently for Windows and for Mac, and now you can download it from the App Store for your iPad or your iPhone. The iOS version is free to download, but there is an in-app purchase to unlock a few extra features. Now it's perfectly usable without those extra features, but in this video I hope to show you why it's well worth making that purchase and also how it works, and I'm going to give you some idea what it sounds like. When Lunar Lander first landed in the App Store, there was a little problem with the in-app purchase functionality. Some people had tried to buy it and it didn't work, they didn't get it. This has now been repaired, so all you need to do is go to the question mark, click to purchase, and if you've previously paid for the in-app purchase, you will not be charged again. It may say that it's going to charge you, but you will then see a pop-up that tells you you've not in fact been charged. And this functionality will be further improved upon very soon. Before I get stuck into showing you how this app works, I just want to give you a few more examples of the sounds you can get from Lunar Lander. So I'm going to show you this project that I made the background loop for this video in. Over here to the left, you will see that I've got some rosettas and snakebud that are just making this loop happen. And here I've got Chow kick, which I will need to solo if you're going to hear it, because I've currently got my mic soloed. Alright, so there's Chow kick, and I'll just press play and show you how little is actually happening with Chow kick. That's kind of it. That's all it's doing. Now if I engage Lunar Lander, we'll let it just play one more time. There we go. Right, wait while it hits again. Alright, pretty impressive, right? I love that. Okay, now let's lose Chow kick. Now, Mellowsound is Finger Labs' version of the Mellotron, right? So the Mellotron is an ancient instrument and nowadays it sounds very, very old and lo-fi. This is, I think Finger Labs' representation of it is quite wonderful. I've left the effects off all 3 instances that I'm using. So what we're getting is a very dry, very old sounding instrument so that you can hear the drastic difference when I add Lunar Lander. Okay, and moving on. And this next one, this has to be my favourite. So how does it work? Let's press play. Helium is playing back a little sequence to Chow, where we have this really nice but totally dry sound. Let's engage Lunar Lander, and you will see that I've got the wet and dry for the reverb and the delay wound all the way back, so we're not hearing them. Let's wind up the input gain to saturate the sound, which has of course made it much louder, so we'll knock back the volume here. We can choose between Class A-B amplification or Class A. Class A is smoother and a more accurate representation of the original signal. Your transients will be much more obvious, but for most people I think we really like that Class A-B filth. I certainly do anyway. Okay, let's have some delays. I'm going to wind up the wet and dry so we can hear some repeats. Okay, now we're going to set the clock rate here. So basically the speed of the delay. Or we can tap a delay speed in here. Double tap, a slower one. I've always been rubbish at tapping in delay speeds. Okay, now we can have triplet repeats, or we can have dotted note repeats, which sound awesome. Or we can sync the speed of the delay to the digital audio workstation, or in this case, AUM. Turn off the dotted note. Alright, now our subdivisions are set just here. And here we decide the amount of repeats. So let's start to wind this up, and you'll hear more and more echoes coming in. And what we're basically doing here is feeding the repeats back into the effect. So if I continue to turn this up, we will create a swell, which you will hear better if I turn the effect all the way up. So now all you're hearing is the repeats and none of the original sound. Here we have a low pass filter that I can use to make the sound darker. This only affects the repeats and not the original signal. I kind of like it really bright actually. Let's bring this back. Okay, now late 70s, early 80s we had Bucket Brigade delays, and people to this day still love the sound of them. If I wind this control up here, this will bring the emulation of that sound in, and the inherent kind of dirty qualities that it had. Now you can hear that those delay repeats are starting to feed back now. They're starting to really swell. So let's knock this back. Now I really like this. I just have this up to 10 all the time. It just, to me, to my ears, that just sounds absolutely wonderful. This delay also has a modulation built in. If I bring up the depth so you can hear it, and you'll hear it a lot better if I set the rate quicker. It's kind of a chorusy kind of a sound. Now I actually really like this with the depth wound way high, but the rate very low. It's how I tend to use modulations. It really thickens up the sound. Okay, and another thing that we can do is we can sync the rate of that modulation to the clock rate. So effectively, it will modulate in time to the repeats. which in this case seems to have created a very interesting sound. Okay, alright. Now let's just bring the wet and dry down. Get rid of the delay for a moment, if my mouse will let me, and let's bring in some reverb. This is plate number 1, which is the smallest reverb. I'm not going to do a full demonstration of the reverb right now because I want to use another sound that will better demonstrate it, but I just want to bring in some reverb so that I can show you a couple of things combined with the delay. With the bandwidth here, we can kind of thin out the sound of the reverb with a filter, a bandpass filter. Let me just lengthen the decay of the reverb and bring that back so you can hear the width coming back in. Lovely. Okay, this is what I wanted to show you. We can change the order of the effects. So if we put reverb before delay, it should completely change the sound. Changing the order of the chain of the effects. You know what? If I'd turned up the delay beforehand, that would have been a good demonstration. Stupid Hippie. Okay, let's try that again. Take 2. There. Honestly, what a pleb. Okay, now let's set the ducker. Here we can set a threshold for when we want the effect to duck. So when the effect crosses that threshold, it will duck the tail of the combined effects. Okay, now over to another sound to best demonstrate that reverb. Engage Lunar Lander. Turn up the reverb. In fact, let's saturate that piano sound. Let's make it a bit dirtier. Okay, more reverb. Let's wind up that decay, make the reverb last longer. Thin out the bandwidth maybe. Okay, now let's show you plate number 2. And plate number 3. Okay, now these are some absolutely gorgeous sounds we can get with these reverbs. I love plate number 3. I like the bandwidth quite full. Okay, let's go to this control here. And this is where we can access some more control over the reverb. We have a low pass filter where we can make that reverb tail darker or brighter, of course. Pre-delay will create a space between the original sound and the beginning of the reverb tail. When we dampen the sound, what we do is we restrict the length of time that the higher frequencies of the reverb are allowed to last for. So if I wind this back, you'll hear that it makes that decaying reverb sound much brighter. Okay, now diffusion. If I bring the diffusion controls back, you should hear the reverb kind of become a little more grainy. As I bring them up, what it seems to do is to kind of break up those repeats. You can hear little clicks in the sound. So you can hear we have really quite a stunning amount of control over the reverbs. Okay, let's go back a plate. I'm going to bring the delay back in. So that I can show you this. If I wind this control up, it will emulate the kind of noise that this kind of delay is designed around. The kind of processor that would have been used late 70s, the kind of sound that it would have made, just for some, you know, realism. So in conclusion, what do I, the stupid old hippie, honestly think about this app? Well, let me just say this. I now have an iPad that is full to the brim of incredible music software. I have tons of delays and tons of reverbs, and I was, to be honest, pretty skeptical about checking out yet another delay and reverb type effect. But as soon as I heard this one, I thought that's the sound I've been looking for. It's not that the functionality is any better than any of the other great delays, reverbs or saturators available for iOS. It's just that sound. I think it just sounds incredible, and I can see me using this on a great many productions. If you have any questions about the app, then feel free to comment below the video and I will reply. Please check out below the video all my links to my merch, my music, my website, my Patreon, etc, ways you can help out the channel and all that stuff. Until next time, be good people and take care of yourselves, stay safe, make lots of music and do not piss your pants about. See you later.